According to Roman tradition, the law of the 12 Tables was the modern legislation that stood at the foundation of Roman law. The tables consolidated earlier traditions into an enduring set of laws. The 12 Tables are sufficiently comprehensive that it has been described as a code, although modern scholars consider this characterization exaggerated. The tables were a sequence of definitions of various private rights and procedures. They generally took for granted such things as the institutions of the family and various rituals for formal transactions. The provisions were often highly specific and diverse, and lack an intelligible system or order, drafting and development. The 12 Tables of Roman society were said by the Romans to have come about as a result of the long social struggle between patricians and plebeians. After the expulsion of the last king of Rome, Tarquinius Superbus, the republic was governed by a hierarchy of magistrates. Initially, only patricians were eligible to become magistrates, and this, among other plebeian complaints, was a source of discontent for plebeians. In the context of this unequal status, plebeians would take action to secure concessions for themselves using the threat of secession. They would threaten to leave the city with the consequence that it would grind to a halt, as the plebeians were Rome's labor force. Tradition held that one of the most important concessions won in this class struggle was the establishment of the 12 Tables, establishing basic procedural rights for all Roman citizens as against one another. However, this tradition cannot be verified, and the drafting of the 12 Tables may have been fomented by a desire for self-regulation by the patricians, or for other reasons. Around 450 BC, the first decemviri were appointed to draw up the first 10 tables. According to Livy, they sent an embassy to Greece to study the legislative system of Athens, known as the Solonian Constitution, but also to find out about the legislation of other Greek cities. Some scholars dispute the veracity of any claim that the Romans imitated the Greeks in this respect, or suggest that they visited the Greek cities of southern Italy, and did not travel all the way to Greece. In 450 BC, the second decemviri started to work on the last 2 tables. The first decemvirate completed the first 10 codes in 450 BC. Here is how Livy describes their creation. Every citizen should quietly consider each point, then talk it over with his friends, and, finally, bring forward for public discussion any additions or subtractions which seem desirable. In 449 BC, the second decemvirate completed the last 2 codes, and after a successio plebis to force the Senate to consider them, the law of the 12 Tables was formally promulgated. According to Livy, the 12 Tables were inscribed on bronze, alone says on ivory, and posted publicly, so all Romans could read and know them. Works cited: Durant, The Story of Civilization, Simon and Schuster, Livy, The Sailing Court, A. Ogilvy, M. Oakley, p. The Early History of Rome, Books IV of the History of Rome from its Foundations, Penguin Classics, ISBN 0-14-044809-8. Goodwin, Dr. Frederick. The 12 Tables. Stevens and Sons, London.